Namaskar, welcome to the CTET Preparation Mathematics class. So in this session, we are going to discuss about area, perimeter and properties. So, topics such as like a rectangle, square, parallelogram, rhombus and trapezium. I am Manohar H, Senior Research Fellow, RI, Mysore. Now, if you analyze the previous year questions from these topics, okay, so every year from the paper 1, paper 2, so there are 3 to 5 questions that have been asking from, especially from these concepts, such as like rectangle, square, parallelogram, rhombus and trapezium. So based on these concepts, have been asking every year 3 to 5 questions. Okay, so there are some of the questions which directly they are asking, such as perimeter shift from the different shapes, and wire bending questions and path areas questions where they're trying to connect day-to-day life situations. And then from the paper 2, if you see, so where they're asking rhombus properties and trapezium, and asking them to change the percentage. Okay, so these are the areas where they have been focusing in paper 1, paper 2 from these concepts. Okay, so now let us try to understand these concepts and we'll solve some of the problems in upcoming slides. Now before we try to solve the questions, let us understand the basic concepts which we are going to use in this session. So now the first one is rectangle. So rectangle, if you remember the properties of the rectangle, where in a rectangle opposite sides are the equal. So that suppose if you see that, okay, rectangle, this is A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, where AB is opposite sides, where so AB is equal to the CD. So the length of the AB is L, the length of the CD also will be the L. Okay, so and all the angles will be the equal in rectangle. So angle, so that means what will be the angle in the rectangle? 90 degrees. So all angles are the equal in rectangle. So diagonals are also equal, where D is equal to square root of L square plus B square. So that means these diagonals also will be the equal. So what is the perimeter of the rectangle? Where perimeter of the rectangle P is equal to 2 plus length and 2 into length and breadth. So 2 into length and breadth. Okay, so where what is the area of the rectangle here? A is equal to length and breadth. So in order to find out whenever the questions ask based on the rectangle, if they ask you to identify the perimeter, so we will apply the formula where P is equal to 2 into length and so 2 into L plus B. Okay, so this is the length of the AB, length of the CD. So whereas for area we just multiply where area is this much, this is the area, where length into breadth. So okay, so in this rectangle all the angles will be the equal, that is 90 degrees, and diagonals also, the diagonal AC, the diagonal BD, both are the equal. So now coming to the concept of the square. Okay, in the square concept, all the sides will be equal. So how many sides will be there? There are 4 sides will be there. Okay, so if you see B, A, B, C, D. Okay, so where AB is equal to BC, BC is equal to CD, CD is equal to DA. So all the sides will be the equal, and all the angles also will be the equal, that is 90 degrees will form. Okay, so that means angle A, angle B, angle C, angle D, angle C. So angle D, both all the angles also equal 90 degrees. So diagonals also equal in the square, where diagonal AC and diagonal BD or DB, both diagonals also equal, where D is equal to A square root of 2. So what is the formula of perimeter of the square is 4A. So that means 4 sides, 4 into A. A is nothing but side. Okay. In the case of area, the area of the square, where A is equal to A square. So that means side into side. Okay. So that is again we can also say that D square by 2, where diagonal. Okay. So all sides are the equal, all angles are the 90 degrees, diagonals also equal in the square. Okay. So now coming to the another concept, let us go to the parallelogram. Okay, so in a parallelogram, this is a parallelogram. So where in the parallelograms all opposite sides are parallel and equal. Okay, so now these parallelogram opposite sides, so let us A, B, C, D. Okay, where AB is parallel to, AB is parallel to CD, where BC is parallel to DA. Okay, in the parallelogram. Okay. So what is the formula of the parallelogram? Where area is equal to base into height. Okay, so in the parallelogram, so in order to find out the whenever they give the question based on the parallelogram, they ask you to identify the area of the parallelogram, where we apply where area is equal to base into height. Okay, so they will give the base and we need and height, then we can say that from the base and height we can say that this is the area of the given parallelogram. Similarly, if rhombus, if we see in a rhombus, if you remember the properties of rhombus, concept of the rhombus, we can say that okay, all sides are the equal in the all sides are equal in rhombus and opposite sides are the parallel. Okay, so now if you see this one, okay, in a given rhombus where all sides, let us assume that this is a b c d. Okay, so the a b c, b c c d d a, all the sides are the equal, opposite sides are the parallel, where a b and d c are the parallel and d a and c b are the parallel. Okay, so diagonals intersect at 90 degrees. Okay, so in diagonal AC, diagonal DB, where they intersect, this is the intersect point, that is the y. Okay, where the diagonals intersect at the, when they intersect both the diagonals, it will form the 90 degrees. At the 90 degrees is both the diagonals will intersect and bisect the each other in a rhombus. So what is the formula of area of the rhombus, where half into diagonals d1 into d2. Okay, so in order to identify the side whenever they give the question rhombus, where we use each side identifying square root of d1 by 2 whole square plus d2 by 2 whole square. So then trapezium, in the trapezium only one pair of opposite sides are the parallel. So if you see trapezium ABCD, okay, so only one side of the opposite, one pair of opposite sides only parallel. So here this one is the only parallel. Okay, so that these two are non-parallel in a trapezium. Okay, so now when you drop the from the exact vertices of the opposite parallel side, so exactly it forms the, when you drop the from the opposite vertices, let A height, okay, it exactly forms a equal. Okay, so the formula of the trapezium is where in order to find out the trapezium in area is equal to half into sum of the parallel sides. What are the parallel sides here? AB and CD. Okay, so the sum of the opposite parallel sides into height. Okay, so with this formula we can identify the area of the trapezium, area of the trapezium. So that means where A is equal to the length of the AB A and length of the CD B. So A plus B into height. Okay, this is the sum of the concepts which we have to remember when you are trying to solve. So now coming to the question 1. A wire is in the form of a rectangle of length 40 centimeters and breadth 22 centimeters. If the same wire is rebent in the shape of a square, what will be the measure of each side? The options are, option 1 is 30 centimeters, option 2 is 31 centimeters, option 3 is 32 centimeters, option 4 is 33 centimeters. Now what exactly they're what exactly they're asking here? The question is like a wire, it is in the form of a rectangular of length and breadth. So the rectangular length breadth they have given here. So a wire which is having in length and rectangle length and breadth, which is in the shape of rectangle. If the same wire is rebent in the shape of a square, so they wanted to rebend the length of the rectangle and breadth the wire in the shape in the form of square. So what will be the measure of each side? So they want to identify in order to rebend in a similar shape, like in a square shape where all the sides are equal. So each side, what will be the length of each side? That is what they need to identify. Let us try to see now. Okay, now we know that, okay, so from the question we know that, okay, length and breadth they have given. Now let us try to identify let us try to identify the perimeter of the rectangle. So the length and breadth they are given, the rectangle of the length and breadth they are given. Okay, so even if when wire is reshaped, the total length and breadth will be the total length exactly the same, it will not be changed. Okay, so therefore let us try to identify the perimeter first. Okay, so what is the perimeter of the rectangle? What is the formula of the perimeter of rectangle? It is 2 into length and breadth. Okay, so what is the given length here? L is equal to 40 centimeters, and what is the length of the breadth they have given here? 22 centimeters they have given. Okay, so now apply these two length and breadth values in the formula. So when you apply, what will become? 2 into 40 plus 22. So when you see add 40 plus 22, that will become 62. When you multiply 2 into 62, that will become 124 centimeters. So that means the length of the wire is the 124 centimeters. Okay, so now what they're asking, where, so this is this, perimeter of the rectangle is equal to perimeter of the square. So this perimeter of the rectangle length and breadth only they wanted to rebend into the, in the first in the shape of the square. So that means it is equal to the perimeter of the square. Now let us see what is, try to identify the perimeter of the square. Okay, now what is the formula of the perimeter of the square here? 4 into side. Okay, side, that we need to identify, which we don't know that. Okay, so that is what we are trying to identify here. Okay, so 4 into side is equal to, we know that perimeter of the square, we know total 124 centimeters. Okay, 124 centimeters. Now from this we can identify, let us assume side. Okay, side is equal to how much it will become? 124 by 4. Okay, so that if 4 ones are 4, 30 ones are 124. So the side equal to, each side will be the 31 centimeter. So what is the correct answer in the given option? Option 2 is the correct answer, 31 centimeters. Okay, so if you remember the formulas, we can apply directly, or we can, logic, we can apply that, where, so the even given length and breadth of the, rectangle perimeter, it will be the same. So again they wanted to rebend into square shape, that means equally they wanted to rebend. So they wanted to rebend into squares. Okay, so that means all sides are the equals. In such a case, what we can do, we can just take the average of the given length and breadth. Okay, so take the average of the given measurement, and when you do like this, okay, directly you will get the answer. Now the question 2 is, the diagonals of a rhombus are length 16 centimeter and 30 centimeters. Find its perimeter, we need to identify. Okay, so what is they're asking here? The diagonals of a rhombus are of length 16 centimeters and 30 centimeters. So the diagonals are given in a given rhombus. I mean, this is based on the concept of the rhombus again. The diagonals are given, we need to identify the perimeter, we need to identify. Okay, so the options are, the option 1 is 60 centimeter, option 2 is the 64 centimeters, option 3 is the 68 centimeters, option 4 is the 72 centimeter. Okay, so now how we can identify the, where they are given, the two diagonals they are given, and we need to identify the perimeter. So now, so if you see here, okay, so what is the given diagonal one? D1 is equal to 16 centimeters and D2 is equal to 30 centimeters. Okay, so now, so let us make it into half diagonals. Okay, when you make it into half diagonals, okay, what will become 16 by 2? 8 centimeters. Okay, so that means, why? Because it is a, half, we have to identify, because when you form the intersect the diagonals in a rhombus, it is bisect exactly at the 90 degrees. Okay, so where by, when they bisect, intersect and bisect each other at the 90 degrees, it will form the right angle triangle. Exactly, if you see that, okay, all the, in a rhombus, okay, rhombus A, B, C, D. Okay, so all that, triangles, if you see after bisecting, it will forms a right angle triangle forms. Okay, so therefore, so now what will be the value here? So each side is what will be the value? 16 by 2. So that means the length of this one will be the, so if it is a diagonal, if it is a diagonal AC 16 centimeters, the half of the diagonal will become a 8 centimeter. If the diagonal BD is a 30 centimeters, the half will become a 15 centimeters. Okay, now, so these half diagonals form a right angle triangle with the side of the rhombus A and acting as a hypotenuse. So that means these sides will be the hypotenuse for us. Now we know the value of this one, where one side is 8 centimeter, another side is the 15 centimeter, and we don't know the hypotenuse. So therefore, from this idea, from the, when you see the right angle triangle, when you have the hypotenuse and sides, both the sides, adjacent sides and base, we can apply the Pythagoras theorem and we can identify the hypotenuse here. So now what is the Pythagoras formula here, where hypotenuse square is equal to perpendicular square plus base square. Okay, so we have the both the values here. If you, let us take one example here. Okay, if you take this one, so one triangle, if it, because all the triangles are the equal again here, so let us take one triangle and let us try to find out the hypotenuse here. Okay, so where h square is equal to, that means, okay, a square. Okay, so and then p square plus p square, directly apply the values. If you apply, what will become here? A square is equal to 8 square plus 15 square. Okay, so where a is equal to 8 square plus 15 square. Okay, 15 square. Now if we simplify again, root of 8 square is nothing but 64, 15 square is nothing but again 225. So the root of 289, the value of the root of 289 is the 17 centimeter. Okay, so now we got it, the A value we got it. Okay, so now what we need to identify, the perimeter of the rhombus we need to identify. They have given the two diagonals here, we need to identify the perimeter we need to identify. Okay, now what is the perimeter of the rhombus? Formula 4 into A. So 4, where A is the side, so that is what from the Pythagoras theorem, from the definition of the Pythagoras, from the right angle triangle, the A value, the side hypotenuse value we identified. So now let us apply that into the perimeter of the rhombus formula. So what will become 4 into 17, 17 4s are 68. So what is the answer? 68 centimeters. Which option is correct here? Third option 3 is the correct. Okay, so this is the correct answer. Now whenever when they give the two diagonals and ask the perimeter of the rhombus, identify the give from the given diagonals, identify the half of the diagonal, so that which becomes, because if you remember the rhombus properties, where it forms a bisect, the two diagonals bisect each other and forms a right angle triangle. Okay, so when you identify the two sides, okay, from the Pythagoras theorem we can identify the another side we can identify. So only to identify the perimeter rhombus, we know the formula, it is 4 into side. Okay, if we identify the side, then obviously we can get the answer. Now the next question is, the area of a trapezium is 1050 centimeter square and its height is 21 centimeter. If one of the parallel side is 2 by 3 of the other, find the length of the longer parallel side. Okay, so remember the concept of the trapezium here, and from that we can solve. Let us see what are the options they have given here. Option 1 is 40 centimeters, option 2 is the 50 centimeters, option 3 is the 60 centimeters, option 4 is the 70 centimeters. Okay, now what they are trying to ask here, they are given the area of the trapezium they have given. What is the value of the trapezium they have given? 1050 centimeters square they have given. Okay, so now, and its height is also they have given, 21 centimeter they have given. So if the one parallel side is 2 by 3x, so in a rhombus, if you remember the concept of the rhombus, what will happen here? Only opposite, one pair of the sides are the equal, other sides are the non-equal. Okay, so one side of the parallel side they have given 2 by 3x, other side we need to identify. Okay, now remember the formula of the trapezium here. Okay, so what is the area of the trapezium? Since area of the trapezium they are given, so what is the area of the trapezium? So by seeing the question itself we can see that, okay, they have given area of the trapezium, they have given the height they are given. So from that we can get the idea that we can apply the formula of the area of the trapezium. So area of the trapezium is equal to half into, what is the area of the trapezium formula? Half into sum of the parallel sides. Okay, sum of the parallel sides into height. Okay, so in the questions if we read what they have given, let the longer parallel, we don't know that x, let us assume that the shorter parallel side they have given 2 by 3x. Okay, so now area of the trapezium what will become here? Half into sum of the parallel sides into height. Okay, so now what is the area of the trapezium from the question? 1050 centimeter square. Now half into, what is the sum of the parallel side? One side is they are given 2 by 3x, another side we are assuming that it is a x. So sum of this x plus 2 by 3x, so sum of the parallel this sides x plus 2 by 3x or 2x by 3 into, what is the height they are given? 21 centimeters they have given. Okay, now divide both the sides. Okay, now in order to eliminate that one or identify x value, let us simplify this one. Okay, when you simplify, what will become? So divide by the 21. Okay, so when you divide by the 21, 1050 by 21, okay, equal to 1 by 2 into, we can write it like x plus 2 by 3x is x is 5 by 3x, where 3x plus 3 into x 3x, 3x plus 2x 5x, 5x by 3. So now if you simplify this one, we will get 21s are 20, 50s are 1050, 50 is equal to 1 by 2, so this will become 5x by 3. Okay, so now we should identify the x value, solve for the x. Okay, that is what we need to identify here. Okay, so when you solve for the x, that what will become, where 50 is equal to 1 by 2 into 5x by 3. Okay, 5 by 3 into x, whatever it is. Okay, so now, so this if we multiply, what will become, where x is equal to 100 into 3 by 5. Okay, so now if you simplify this one, 5 ones are 5, 2s are 5, 20s are 100. Okay, 20 into 3, here x is equal to 60 centimeters. That is the value, x is equal to 60 centimeter. Now what is the 60 meter, which is the option is correct here? The option 3 is the correct, 60 centimeter. Now the next question is, the area of a square is 25 centimeter square. The diagonal of a square B is twice the diagonal of the square A. Find the area of the square B. We need to identify. Find the area of the square B. We need to identify. So given options are: option 1 is the 50 centimeter square. Option 2 is the 75 centimeter square. Option 3 is the 100 centimeter square. Option 4 is the 125 centimeter square. So let us read the question. Try to identify what exactly they have given here. The area of a square is two squares they are given. One square, area of the square is 25 centimeter square. Okay. Now the diagonal of the square B is another square they are given, that is the square B. The what is the diagonal of the square B? They have said the condition they are given twice the diagonal of the square A. Okay. So that is what they are given. If diagonal of square A is DA, if you assume that DA, then DB will become a square of 2 into DA. Okay, now let us see that. So now for this, in order to identify the first, what are the values they given, area of the square they have given. Okay, so now area of the square A is given, that is the 25 centimeter square. So now we try to find the A, will try to identify what is the side, we'll try to identify here. Okay, now side of the A, what will become? So square, since A square is equal to 25. Okay, where A is equal to root of 25, that will become the 5 centimeter. Okay, so the area of A will be the 5 centimeter. Now the diagonal of a square, what the diagonal of square DA is equal to, this is the diagonal of square EA. So that means side into root 2. Okay, so now what is the side value? We got it. Okay, so the formula of the diagonal square is equal to D is equal to side into or 2 side into root A, or we can write root A, that is also fine. Okay, now so apply the A value. What is the A value here? 5 centimeters, we know that. Okay, so when you apply, how much it will become? 5 into root 2, 5 root 2 centimeters it will become. Okay, so now this is the diagonal of square, area of the square, and diagonal of the square, we got it now. Now what is that they are asking? The diagonal of the square B is twice the diagonal of the square A. So that means now try to identify the what is the diagonal of the square B here. Okay, now what is the given DB based on the condition? That is DB is equal to 2 into DA. So what is the DA value? We got it from the square A, 2 into 5 root 2. So when you multiply this with the 2 into 5 root 2, we'll get the 10 root 2 centimeters. 5 2 is the 10 root 2 centimeters. Now so we got it, the diagonal of the B we got it. Okay, now what we need to identify from this? They need to identify the area of the square B. Area of the square B we need to identify. Okay, that is what we need to, area of the square we need to identify. So what is the formula of area of the a square in terms of diagonal? Okay, so that is D square by AB is equal to D square by 2. So okay, what is the D square B value? We got it here, 10 to the 10 root 2. Okay, so when you apply this 10 root 2 square by 2, we will get, when you simplify this one, this will become 10 into 10 100, where 2 square root 2, this will get cancelled, that will become a 2, and 10 into 2 by 2. Okay, so now 100 into 2, 200 by 2. So if you simplify this one, we'll get the 100 centimeter square. So which is the option is correct here, 100 centimeter square. Option 3 is the correct one. Okay, in some cases, instead of calculating this much, we can also where diagonal scales by factor. So by taking the where two diagonals they are given, k is equal to 2. Okay, so now area of the scales where b is equal to k square by area of the A. So what are the two diagonals they are given? One of the area they are given 25. Okay, so apply this one, directly we will get the answer. Now the next question is, the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram are 24 centimeter and 16 centimeter. If the distance between the longer side is 10 centimeter, what is the distance between the shorter side? Okay, parallelogram they have given here. Two adjacent sides of the parallelogram they are given. That is the values are like this. 24 centimeters and 16 centimeters. If the distance between the longer side is 10 centimeter, what is the distance between the shorter side? Okay. Now the options are, option 1 is 12 centimeter, option 2 is 15 centimeter, option 3 is the 16 centimeter, option 4 is the 18 centimeter. Now try to identify. Okay. So what is the area of the parallelogram? So if you remember the properties of a parallelogram, okay, so the area of the parallelogram will be the uniform always. Okay. So meaning it says constant regardless of which side you treat it as the base. Okay. Whether you take the this base or whether you take the this base, whether you take the this base, whether you take the this base, it is always uniform constant. Okay. So in such a case, area of the parallelogram what will become, where base 1 in area is equal to base 1 into height 1 equal to base 2 into height 2. Okay. So now, so if you see the question here, their base 1 they have values they have given here. Base 1 is equal to 24 centimeters, that is the longer side which they are given, and the height is also they are given, that is the 10 centimeter. On the base 2 value, what is the how much they have given here, 16 centimeter, and the height we need to identify. Okay. So that means the longer side of the 24 height is 10 centimeters, shorter side is the 16 centimeter then, and this height we need to identify how much it is, we need to identify. Now equate the two areas, okay, based on the formula. So what will become here, 24 into 10, base 1 value is the 24, the height is the 10. Okay, then base 2 equal to base 2 value, how much is base 2 value here, 16 they are given, and are they given height 2, they didn't give the height, so therefore we need to identify. Let us assume that that is the x. Okay. Now if you simplify this one, how much will get x value, let us see that. Okay. Now 24 into 10, that will become that is 240, and then 16 into x, that becomes a 16x. Now from this we can identify the x, where x is equal to 16 will go to the left hand side, that will become a denominator, where 240 by 60. Now if you simplify this one, we'll get the 15 centimeter. Okay. Now if you see the option which is the correct option, so that means option 2 is the 15 centimeter is the correct one. So that means the height of the second last shortest, the distance between the shorter side is the 15 centimeter. Okay. Now the next question is, a rectangular park is 45 meters long and 30 meters wide. A path is 2.5 meter wide is constructed outside around the park. Find the cost of cementing this path at 200 rupees per meter square. The cost of the cementing for the outside the part, outer ring side of the park, we need to identify how much it will cost if for the cementing. So that is what we need to identify here. So what they are given, the rectangular park is there, the length also they are given, wide also, that means breadth also they are given. Okay. So now let us see the options which is the correct one. Option 1 is the 80,000 rupees, option 2 is the 82,000 rupees, option 3 is the 85,000 rupees, option 4 is the 90,000 rupees. Now if you see the inner rectangular area, so in the rectangular area, what is the length they have given, 45 meters and 30 meters before extending the path. That is what they are given. Okay. So now what will become the area of the rectangle here, we know the formula. Okay, where length into breadth, so the area of the rectangle will become 1350 meters square. Okay. So now the dimension of outer rectangle, how much they are given, so outer rectangle, how much they are given, this is the outer part of the rectangle, how much they are given dimensions. Path is the 2.5 meter wide outside and all the sides. So from the inner rectangle, the outside rectangle of the path, for each path, the length is the 2.5 meters. So that means this will be the 2.5, this will be the 2.5, this will be the 2.5, this will be the 2.5 outside. Okay. So that means outside. Okay. So now outer rectangle they have given. So now outer rectangle area, so we know that. Okay. How much it will become outer rectangle area, so 45 plus, that means the new length. Okay. From here how much it will become, this is the 45 plus 2 point into 2 point, so length is the 2 point, breadth is also 2.5. so for that if you add, new length will become a 50 meters. Okay. The old length is the 45 meters of the area they are given. For the new length area will become a 25 into 2.5, 45 into 2.5 plus 2.5. Okay. So length into breadth is the same here, outer rectangle. So now breadth, how much it will become, the inner part of the breadth is 30 and the path they extended 2.5. Okay, so where length and 2.5, breadth is also 2.5. Okay, so therefore that will become a 35 meters. Okay, now if you identify the the outer rectangular area, so that will become where length into breadth, so 50 35 1750 meters square. Now we need to see what is area of the path. Okay, what is the difference of the area of the path of outer rectangle and inner rectangle. Okay, so what we have to subtract. So now what is the outer rectangle area is 1750. What is the inner rectangular area is minus 1050. Now if you subtract that, we will get 400 meter square. Okay, now what is they're asking? So we got it, the area of the path of the outer rectangle, we got it. Now what we need to identify here, find the cost of the cementing this path. The path we got it. Okay, the for that path we need to identify the, in order to put the cementing there, how much cost it will become, we need to estimate that. Okay, so what is the area of the path, we got 400. So each meter square is how much, 200 rupees. Okay, so how many meters we have, the outer part 400 meters. When you multiply that 400 into 200, that 4 2s are 8, so 80,000 will become. Okay, so what is the option? Option 1 is the correct one, 80,000 rupees. So simply we can whenever ask the questions like this, okay, when they give the inner path and outer path, if they ask you to identify cost, do the subtraction of identify the area of the inner path, path and outer path, and then subtract, we'll get the path area we will get. So for that path area, whatever the amount they are rate they are giving, with that multiply, we'll get the cost rate. Now the next question is, if the side of a square is doubled, how many times will its perimeter increase? If the side of the square is doubled, how many times will its perimeter increase? So if you remember the concept of the square, by seeing the option itself, you can say that it is a 2 times. Okay, how it is a 2 times? In a square, all the sides will be the equal. Okay, so if the side of the square one is one side is x, then how many times its perimeter will be the it will be the increase. So what will become perimeter is 4x. So that means 4 times it will be 4x it will become. So that means we can say that it's a double, it is increasing. Okay, so now the new perimeters, what is now, for example, let us see that. Okay, let the original side of square be x. Okay, the original perimeter is 4x. Okay, then when the side is doubled, the new side length will become a 2x. So that means 4 into 2x will become a 8x. Now what is the new perimeter? We have the 8x. What is the original perimeter? We have 4x. So when you simplify this one, we'll get the x will get cancelled. 4 ones are 4 times 4 2 times the 8. Okay, so the value is the 2. So that means the perimeter increase exactly 2 times. Now the next question is, a rhombus has a perimeter of 56 centimeter and its altitude is 8 centimeters. That means height is 8 centimeter and the perimeter is 56 centimeters. Find the total area of the area we need to identify. Find the total area of rhombus we need to identify. Area of this rhombus we need to identify. Okay, so now let us see the option. Given options are 96 centimeter square, and option 2 is 112 centimeter square, option 3 is 120 centimeter square, and option 4 is 140 centimeter square. Okay, now so what is the perimeter of rhombus here? The 56 centimeters. Then what is the formula of the perimeter? 4 into side. Okay, so where even rhombus properties, if we remember, okay, all the sides are the equal. Okay, now that means 4 into a. So 4 into a side is 56 centimeters. We don't know that side. Okay, let us find out. So from this we can identify side, where if you assume that 4 into x is equal to 56, where x is equal to 56 by 4, we'll get the 14 centimeters. Okay, so that means the each side is the 14 centimeters. Now what we need to identify? Area of the rhombus we need to identify. Okay, so base we got it 14 centimeter, we got it. Now we need to identify the area of the rhombus they are asking. What is the formula of the area of the rhombus? Where base into altitude. Altitude they are given in the question. So we identify the base, we identify. So now we have the base and altitude. Now let us try to apply base and altitude value in the area of the rhombus. Okay, now what is the base value? From the perimeter of the rhombus we identify that 14. Okay, what is the altitude? They have given the 8 centimeter. When you multiply both, we'll get the 112 centimeter square. Very easy question. So what is the answer? Option 212 centimeter square is the correct answer for that. Where they are given perimeter, they are given altitude is they are given. So find the area of the rhombus we need to identify. Remember the area of the rhombus. In order to find the area of the rhombus, what is required? Base and altitude is required. So we don't know what is the base. So from the perimeter, can we identify the base? We can identify the base. So, okay. So if you identify that one, remember these two formulas, easily we can solve. Now the next question is, the parallel sides of a trapezium are 15 centimeter and 25 centimeter. If its non-parallel sides are equal and its total area is 200 centimeter square, find the perpendicular distance between the parallel lines. We need to parallel. So the perpendicular distance, that means altitude, we need to identify. We need to identify from the given parallel side. Okay, so that is what we need to identify. Height we need to identify. Okay, so now the option 1 is 8 centimeter, option 2 is 10 centimeter, option 3 is 12 centimeter, and the option 4 is the 14 centimeter. Now let us try to identify which is the correct one. Okay, what is the height of the trapezium, parallel sides of the trapezium. Okay, so now what is the parallel sides of the trapezium they have given? One is the 15 centimeter. Okay, then another is the 25 centimeters, the length they have given. Okay, so now height, what they're asking to height, are they given height here? No, they did not give a height in the question. So let us assume that the perpendicular height be the x. Okay, is the height h. Okay, then the length of the parallel sides, these two are the parallel sides in a trapezium, these two are, are the non parallel sides. Okay, so when it will become, when you drop correctly height, altitude from the vertex A and B, then it will become the equal. Okay, so now given A is equal to 15 centimeter and B is equal to 25 centimeters. Okay, remember the area of the trapezium formula here. What is the area of the trapezium formula? We are half into sum of the sides. Okay, sum of the parallel sides. Okay, so what is the sum of the parallel sides here? The length of the A and the length of the B here. Okay, so A plus B into height. Okay, height we don't know, that let us assume that either it is a h or x. Okay, now applies the, what is the area of the trapezium are they given in the question? Yes, they are given area of the trapezium, that is the 200 centimeter square. So half into A plus B, 15 plus 25 into height we will identify. Okay, so now when you simplify this one, how much it will become? 200 equal to half into 15 plus 25, 40, the h we need to identify. Okay, so now if we simplify again this one, how much it will become? 200 is equal to 2 ones are 2 20s are, so therefore 200 is equal to 20 into h. Okay, 20 h. So now h value we need to identify. So therefore what will become? 200. If this 20, if we send it to left hand side, if we cancel this one, this will become a 200 by 20. Okay, 200 by 20. If we so that one, that will become a 10 centimeter. Okay, 20 ones are 20 tens are 210 centimeter, which is the option is correct here. Option 2 is the 10 centimeter is the correct option. Okay, so this is directly again based on the application of the area of the trapezium formula. So if you remember the formula, directly we can solve it. Okay, just try to understand the question and then apply the formula, we'll get the answer. So with this we are for end of the session. Okay, so in this session we have discussed triangle basics. We have discussed the formulas which we have recalled, like triangle inequality rule, and and then perimeter rules, perimeter of the triangle, and area concepts we have discussed, and percentage change in area we have discussed. And then we also discussed questions, some of the questions and concepts based on the trapezium, and some cases, special cases where we need to identify the height. And then we also discuss parallelogram and square. So remember the formulas of the for the square and rectangle formulas, perimeter and area. So these are the things which we have discussed in this session. Okay, remember all the formulas and try to, when you remember these formulas, apply some of the questions. If you observe the questions clearly, some of the questions where directly they have given based on the formulas, and some of the questions where they are given application level, where they need to connect with the different concepts and apply the formulas. Okay, with day-to-day life situations, application level. Okay, so if you remember, you can score very easily from these concepts. And dhanyavad.